Welcome back, dear wanderers of the macabre, to another spine-tingling journey through the shadowy corners of the unknown. In this fifth episode of Most Haunted Highways in the Pacific Northwest, we embark on a chilling odyssey along stretches of asphalt and gravel where the veil between worlds grows perilously thin. The Pacific Northwest, a region renowned for its mist-shrouded forests, jagged mountain ranges, and desolate coastlines, is also home to highways steeped in mystery, tragedy, and supernatural phenomena. These roads are more than mere pathways connecting towns. They are corridors of dread, where the echoes of lives lost reverberate through time. The haunted highways of the Pacific Northwest are not just tales whispered in hushed tones around campfires or shared in grainy online forums. They are living legends etched into the collective consciousness by first-hand accounts, historical records, and unexplained encounters that defy logic. From phantom hitchhikers who vanish into thin air to ghostly vehicles speeding down deserted lanes, these spectral stories serve as grim reminders of the fragility of life and the stubborn persistence of those who refuse to move on. Each highway holds its own dark secrets, born from accidents, disappearances, and unspeakable acts that have left an indelible mark on both the land and those who traverse it. In this episode, we'll delve deep into some of the most infamous haunted highways across Washington, Oregon, and Idaho, roads where shadows dance unnaturally, headlights illuminate figures that shouldn't exist, and the hum of tires against pavement is interrupted by disembodied voices carried on the wind. We'll hear harrowing testimonies from drivers brave enough to recount their brushes with the supernatural, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. Along the way, we'll explore how geography, isolation, and human folly converge to create perfect storm conditions for terror. So fasten your seatbelts, dim the dashboard lights, and prepare yourself for a ride unlike any other. As we navigate these haunted highways, remember, sometimes the road ahead leads not only to your destination but straight into the heart of darkness. Are you ready to confront what waits beyond the bend? Highway 20, the Devil's Backbone, stretching nearly 400 miles across northern Washington and dipping briefly into Idaho before continuing into Montana. Highway 20 cuts through some of the Pacific Northwest's most rugged and remote terrain. Known colloquially as the Devil's Backbone, this desolate stretch of asphalt has earned its sinister nickname due to the countless tales of tragedy and terror reported over the decades. Flanked by dense evergreen forests, towering cliffs, and winding rivers, Highway 20 is as beautiful as it is treacherous, a place where nature's majesty collides with humanity's darkest impulses. One of the most enduring legends tied to Highway 20 revolves around a young woman named Sarah Caldwell, whose disappearance in 1973 remains one of the region's most baffling cold cases. According to local lore, Sarah was last seen hitchhiking near the small town of Winthrop after her car broke down during a snowstorm. Despite extensive searches conducted by authorities and volunteers alike, no trace of her body was ever found. However, sightings of a spectral figure resembling Sarah have been reported ever since, particularly during winter months when icy winds whip through the trees. Drivers traveling alone at night claim to see a pale woman in a tattered coat standing alongside the highway, her face obscured by long, matted hair. Those brave enough to stop and offer assistance describe her vanishing without explanation once they rolled down their windows, an act accompanied by a sudden drop in temperature and the faint sound of sobbing carried on the breeze. Another prominent haunting associated with Highway 20 involves the ghostly apparition of a man known only as the Wraith. Described as tall and gaunt, dressed in outdated clothing reminiscent of the early 20th century, the Wraith is said to appear suddenly in the middle of the road, forcing unsuspecting motorists to swerve violently to avoid collision. Witnesses recount feeling an overwhelming sense of dread as they approach the figure, whose hollow eyes seem to bore directly into their souls. Some claim that attempting to brake or steer away results in inexplicable mechanical failures, engines stalling, brakes locking up, or steering wheels refusing to turn, as though an unseen force seeks to keep them trapped on the highway indefinitely. Paranormal investigators exploring the area have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of multiple entities whispering phrases like, "turn back," and "you shouldn't be here." Highway 20's isolated pull-offs and rest areas have become notorious hotspots for paranormal activity. Travelers stopping to stretch their legs or grab a quick nap often report hearing faint whispers emanating from nearby woods, accompanied by the sensation of being watched. Others describe seeing shadowy figures darting between trees, their movements jerky and unnatural. A particularly chilling account comes from a truck driver who swore he encountered a group of children playing tag near a roadside picnic table late at night. When he called out to them, they froze mid-motion, turning slowly to reveal featureless faces before melting into the darkness. Some believe these apparitions represent victims of a fatal bus crash that occurred along the highway in the 1950s, their spirits forever bound to the site of their untimely demise. Modern-day investigations into Highway 20's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, particularly near sharp curves and steep inclines where numerous accidents have occurred. Electromagnetic field, EMF, meters register unusual spikes, especially close to abandoned vehicles rusting silently along the shoulder. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from dashcam footage captured by drivers passing through the region, videos showing translucent figures walking along the roadside, orbs floating eerily in front of headlights, and even full-bodied apparitions materializing briefly before disappearing entirely, despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation. Highway 20 continues to attract curious travelers eager to test their courage against the unknown. For many, navigating its treacherous twists and turns serves as both a rite of passage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the sacrifices made in pursuit of progress. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting beauty or the weight of its tragic legacy, Highway 20 offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. U.S. Route 101, shadows along the coastal corridor winding its way along the rugged coastline of the Pacific Northwest. U.S. Route 101 stands as one of America's most iconic highways, a ribbon of asphalt that threads together picturesque seaside towns, ancient forests, and dramatic cliffs overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Spanning over 1,500 miles from Los Angeles to Olympia, Washington, Route 101 is celebrated for its breathtaking views and endless opportunities for adventure. Yet beneath its scenic charm lies a darker narrative, one marked by shipwrecks, disappearances, and spectral encounters that have earned it a reputation as one of the region's most haunted thoroughfares. One of the most infamous hauntings associated with Route 101 centers around the stretch near Cape Perpetua in Oregon, a location steeped in maritime tragedy. During the early 20th century, this section of the highway was plagued by frequent shipwrecks caused by violent storms and treacherous currents. Survivors of these disasters often spoke of seeing ghostly ships adrift offshore, their sails shredded and rigging creaking ominously in the wind. Modern-day drivers traveling this portion of Route 101 report similar sightings, describing phantom vessels materializing suddenly on the horizon before vanishing into mist. Some claim to hear the distant tolling of bells and cries for help echoing across the water, despite no boats being visible in the vicinity. Locals believe these apparitions belong to sailors lost at sea, their restless spirits condemned to roam the coastline they were unable to reach. Another prominent legend tied to Route 101 involves the ghost of Emily Carter, a young woman who met a tragic end while attempting to flee an abusive relationship. According to family accounts, Emily fled north along the highway in her car during a torrential rainstorm, only to lose control and plunge off a cliff near Nikini Mountain in Oregon. Her body was never recovered, leading many to speculate that she remains trapped between worlds, unable to find peace. Motorists driving this stretch of Route 101 at night report seeing a pale figure standing precariously on the edge of the road, gazing downward as though contemplating another leap. Others describe hearing faint sobs carried by the wind, accompanied by the splash of water rippling against the rocky shore below. Some believe Emily lingers as a warning to others, urging caution on a highway notorious for its unforgiving terrain. Route 101's numerous pull-offs and scenic overlooks have also gained reputations as sites of paranormal activity. Visitors stopping to admire panoramic ocean vistas often feel an inexplicable sense of dread, as though unseen eyes are watching their every move. Shadows flit across peripheral vision, disappearing when directly observed. Some claim to hear disembodied voices calling out names unfamiliar to modern ears, believed to be the voices of travelers stranded or perished along the route centuries ago. Paranormal investigators exploring Route 101 have documented numerous instances of unexplained phenomena. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near sharp curves and steep inclines where numerous accidents have occurred. EVP recordings capture faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries. One investigator captured a chilling photograph of a translucent figure standing in the doorway of the ruins, its hands raised as if begging for mercy. These findings have solidified the site's reputation as one of South Carolina's most active haunted locations. Despite, or perhaps because of, its grim history, Route 101 continues to attract curious souls eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the sacrifices made in pursuit of faith and freedom. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting beauty or the weight of its tragic legacy, Route 101 offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. Interstate 5. The phantom truck driver snaking its way through the heart of the Pacific Northwest. Interstate 5 serves as the region's primary artery, connecting bustling urban hubs like Seattle and Portland with quieter rural communities nestled among rolling hills and verdant valleys. While I-5 is primarily known for its efficiency and accessibility, it harbors a dark secret, one whispered about in truck stops, diners, and roadside motels by those who've dared to travel its length after sundown. Among the myriad tales of strange occurrences along this highway, none is more pervasive or chilling than the legend of the phantom truck driver. The story begins in the late 1980s, when reports first surfaced of a mysterious semi-truck prowling the interstate under cover of darkness. Witnesses described the vehicle as an older model, painted a dull gray that blended seamlessly with the night sky. Its headlights glowed faintly, casting an eerie pallor over the surrounding landscape, and its engine emitted a low, guttural growl that seemed almost alive. What set this truck apart, however, was its erratic behavior. Drivers recounted narrow misses as the phantom rig swerved unpredictably across lanes, forcing cars to veer off onto shoulders or into ditches. Attempts to pass or signal the driver proved futile. The truck would accelerate suddenly, maintaining a relentless pace that defied all logic. Some claimed to see the silhouette of a man behind the wheel, his face obscured by shadows, while others insisted the cab was empty altogether. One of the earliest documented encounters occurred in 1989, when a commercial trucker named Jack Monroe filed a police report detailing a harrowing chase along I-5 near Salem, Oregon. According to Monroe, he had been hauling a load of timber southbound when he noticed the gray semi trailing him closely. Initially dismissing it as another late-night traveler, Monroe grew alarmed when the truck began tailgating aggressively, its massive grille looming menacingly in his rearview mirror. He attempted to pull over at a rest stop, hoping to let the aggressive driver pass, but the phantom truck followed suit, idling ominously beside him. When Monroe exited his vehicle to confront the driver, he discovered the cab completely vacant. Panicked, he returned to his truck and sped away, only to glance in his mirrors moments later and find the gray semi still in pursuit. It wasn't until dawn broke that the apparition finally disappeared, leaving Monroe shaken but unharmed. Since then, countless drivers have reported similar run-ins with the phantom truck driver. Many describe a mounting sense of dread as the spectral rig approaches, accompanied by an inexplicable coldness that seeps into their vehicles. Radios tuned to static channels emit garbled voices muttering indistinct phrases like, "Get off the road," or, "You're next." Some claim to feel their steering wheels jerk involuntarily, as though an unseen hand is attempting to wrest control. Others report hearing the screech of metal grinding against asphalt, even though no collision occurs. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of these encounters is their unpredictable nature. The phantom truck driver appears indiscriminately, targeting solo commuters, families on road trips, and seasoned truckers alike. In several instances, witnesses have recounted narrowly avoiding catastrophic accidents after being forced off the highway by the relentless pursuit of the ghostly rig. Emergency responders dispatched to investigate such incidents often arrive to find no evidence of wreckage or skid marks, only bewildered survivors struggling to make sense of what transpired. Paranormal investigators exploring I-5 have captured compelling evidence supporting the existence of the phantom truck driver. Dashcam footage recorded by multiple drivers shows the same gray semi appearing abruptly in the distance, accelerating impossibly fast before vanishing without explanation. Thermal imaging reveals cold spots concentrated near sections of the highway where sightings are most frequent, while EMF detectors register unusual spikes in electromagnetic activity. Audio recordings captured during overnight sessions pick up fragmented sentences delivered in tones of sheer desperation, including pleas for help and warnings to turn back. Local folklore offers various explanations for the haunting. Some believe the phantom truck driver represents the spirit of a real-life trucker who died tragically in a fiery crash along I-5, his soul unable to escape the scene of his demise. Others speculate that the apparition serves as a harbinger of doom, appearing to warn drivers of impending danger or death. Regardless of its origins, one thing remains clear: the presence of the phantom truck driver transforms Interstate 5 from a mundane thoroughfare into a corridor of fear, where every curve and mile marker holds the potential for terror. For those brave enough to traverse I-5 after dark, the possibility of encountering the phantom truck driver adds an element of fascination and trepidation. Yet, as each new traveler merges onto the highway, they must ask themselves, are they prepared to face the echoes of the past, or will they become another chapter in the macabre legacy of this haunted road? State Route 203, the cursed shortcut nestled deep within the Cascade Mountains of Washington. State Route 203 might appear unassuming at first glance, a narrow, winding two-lane highway carved into the rugged terrain, offering stunning views of alpine meadows and snow-capped peaks. To locals and tourists alike, it's often touted as a scenic shortcut connecting the quaint town of North Bend to the Methow Valley. But beneath its picturesque veneer lies a sinister reputation earned through decades of disappearances, accidents, and chilling encounters that have branded it one of the Pacific Northwest's most cursed highways. One of the most infamous incidents tied to SR 203 dates back to the early 1960s, when a group of college students vanished without a trace during a weekend camping trip. According to their itinerary, the friends planned to take the highway as a quicker route to their destination, opting for the serenity of the mountains over the congestion of Interstate 90. Their car was later discovered abandoned near a remote turnout, its doors wide open and belongings scattered across the ground. Search parties combed the surrounding wilderness for weeks, yet no sign of the missing students was ever found. Over time, rumors began circulating that the group had fallen victim to something supernatural, a malevolent force rumored to inhabit the highway's isolated stretches. Hikers and hunters exploring the area reported hearing faint laughter and snippets of conversation emanating from the woods, as though the students were still wandering aimlessly, unable to leave. Another haunting tale linked to SR 203 involves the ghostly apparition of a woman known only as the Wanderer. Witnesses describe her as ethereal, clad in flowing white garments that shimmer faintly in moonlight. She is said to appear suddenly in the middle of the road, her arms outstretched as though pleading for assistance. Drivers who stop to help report finding themselves disoriented upon exiting their vehicles, surrounded by dense fog that obscures visibility. Some claim to hear her voice whispering their names, coaxing them deeper into the forest before vanishing entirely. Paranormal investigators exploring the highway have captured EVP recordings capturing fragmented phrases like, "Help me find my way," and "Don't follow me," lending credence to the theory that the wanderer represents a lost soul seeking guidance, or perhaps luring others to share her fate. Adding to SR 203's ominous aura are the numerous reports of mechanical failures and inexplicable malfunctions experienced by motorists traveling its length. Cars that function perfectly on other roads have been known to stall inexplicably near certain landmarks, such as the old wooden bridge spanning the Snoqualmie River or the sharp hairpin turn dubbed Dead Man's Curve. Batteries drain rapidly, electronics short circuit, and GPS devices lose signal, leaving drivers stranded in areas devoid of cell reception. Local mechanics often recount tales of vehicles towed from the highway exhibiting bizarre damage, engine components fused together, wiring corroded beyond recognition, or dashboard displays permanently frozen on error messages. Some believe these anomalies stem from residual energy left behind by past tragedies, while others attribute them to an unseen entity intent on keeping intruders trapped within its domain. Modern-day explorations of SR 203 have uncovered additional layers of mystery. Patterns across the Pacific Northwest's haunted highways, themes of isolation and tragedy as we traverse the haunted highways of the Pacific Northwest, from the treacherous curves of Highway 20 to the desolate stretches of Interstate 5, striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing echoes of shipwrecks to the spectral headlights piercing through fog, these roads share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of maritime disasters or the betrayed trust of travelers seeking refuge, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of isolation in amplifying paranormal activity. Remote highways, with their sparse traffic, limited visibility, and lack of emergency services, create environments conducive to vulnerability and heightened fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance, sharp turns where accidents claimed lives, rest stops where travelers sought solace, or bridges where lovers parted ways for the final time. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering headlights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing drivers to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted highways, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each highway's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal weather conditions embedded in the DNA of mountain passes contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in coastal legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted highways transform from mere roads into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each highway boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear on the open road. Why haunted highways captivate us? What is it about haunted highways that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the creaking floorboards and flickering lights lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These roads, by their very nature, are places of vulnerability. They are where we confront our mortality, stripped of autonomy and control, relying entirely on the expertise of others to heal us, or where justice was denied, leaving wounds that refuse to heal. When these spaces become haunted, they amplify our primal fears, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. At the core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted highways exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, health and illness, hope and despair. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, traveling a haunted highway feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Architecturally, haunted highways contribute to this atmosphere of dread through their design. Long, sterile stretches lined with identical markers create a sense of disorientation, while poor lighting and echoing acoustics heighten sensory awareness. These features mimic the psychological effects of anxiety and claustrophobia, making even mundane sounds, a distant cough, the hum of fluorescent lights, feel ominous. The labyrinthine layouts of older structures, with their hidden wings and underground tunnels, evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every corner becomes a potential threat, every shadow a possible harbinger of danger. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight-or-flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. Cultural influences also play a significant role in shaping our fascination with haunted highways. Media representations, from films like The Shining to television series such as American Horror Story, have cemented the trope of the haunted asylum, courthouse, or battlefield as a locus of horror. These portrayals often blend historical truths with fictional embellishments, creating a mythology that blurs fact and fiction. Audiences are drawn to these stories because they reflect societal anxieties about institutional power, systemic injustice, and the fragility of the human mind. Haunted highways become microcosms of larger fears: the loss of agency, the misuse of authority, and the haunting specter of mistakes made in the name of progress. Moreover, haunted highways appeal to our desire for catharsis. Engaging with these tales allows us to process our own fears about mortality, injustice, and the flaws inherent in systems meant to protect us. By confronting ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, we externalize internal anxieties, transforming abstract fears into tangible adversaries. This vicarious experience provides a safe outlet for exploring the darker aspects of human existence, offering both thrill and relief. It's no wonder that ghost tours and paranormal investigations of haunted places attract participants eager to test their courage against the unknown. As we bring this chilling journey through the Pacific Northwest's most haunted highways to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of the Pacific Northwest's haunted highways yourself. Walk the same stretches where spirits are said to roam, stand in the spots where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken roads offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted highways, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.